You know, they're so poised for freshmen. You know, #1 recruiting class in the country. Half their points come from the freshman class. 3 of them start, and then Amahir off the bench is their 4th freshman starter. They're all great contributors.
In fact, the other night, while scoring 99 points against Kentucky, the seniors accounted for only 18.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I had a chance to see these guys early in the season, did a game at Clemson, and I was so impressed, not only in the practices in the game, but how poised they are as a group, and the balance of senior leadership and young players.
Our officials, Gina Cross, Don Marsh, Tim Daly, and we're underway, and the Gamecocks control first.
Well, Alabama's plan is to pack it in the zone in the lane. They're gonna make South Carolina have to make outside shots in this game.
That one's around and out. The first rebound goes to Boston in South Carolina, and it draws a foul on Copeland.
Well, that was point number 2.
It was.
Pack the lane and then rebound the ball. You're gonna have to block out. It's a little bit harder in the zone to do so, but putting bodies on these big players, post players for Carolina inside is gonna be a huge thing for Alabama going forward.
Both of these teams get to the free throw line an awful lot. In fact, South Carolina top 10 in the country, and the first point goes to Aaliyah Boston.
I've been so impressed with Boston's poise. She looks like a seasoned veteran. You know, leads the country and her team leads the country in block shots. And she's the major reason.
Abrams controls for the Crimson Tide. It was a disappointing loss at LSU the other night. They didn't rebound well. They didn't finish. They didn't knock down enough shots.
Yeah, it was just one of those kind of disjointed games offensively.
That shot, if not blocked, was certainly altered by Boston. Harris with a good find.
Transition D right there.
Boy, that was a point of emphasis, really, not just today, all week for Alabama.
Yes. Well, you're going to see a lot of ball screens like you just saw there by Alabama. #1, it's a staple of their offense, and it's one of the things that South Carolina has a little bit more trouble with this year is defending the ball handler in ball screens.
Jazz Walker came up empty, and the ball back in the hands of Harris.
You're not going to see a lot of hard pressure on the perimeter, but you got to take away that paint pass.
That cut was just too easy by Boston for the lay-in.
Not the start Alabama wanted right here. They're going to have to get a score to kind of get the rhythm back to the game.
And Coach, any team that plays South Carolina has to withstand the first quarter. The Gamecocks have just put it on teams in that first.
Here's the pass from the short corner down the lane to Boston, cutting, finishing easy finish around the rim.
Crimson Tide still trying to find those first points. Jordan Lewis probing. Copeland had her pocket picked by Harris, and the Gamecocks so good in transition.
You cannot be casual with the basketball around the South Carolina guards.
Isaiah Cooke, open mid-range jumper, and she'll knock it in, and that's an 8-0 beginning for South Carolina.
And a quick timeout by Christy Curry.
So South Carolina so good at putting it 2 teams in that first quarter. Coach Curry needs to stop the run for South Carolina. Well, an early timeout by Alabama. South Carolina's raced out to an 8-0 lead, and this is something they have been so good at doing over the course of this young season.
Yeah, they've just dominated people, and they've done it today without a full court press. The other night against Kentucky, they came out and pressured full court to begin the game. But today, they've just played straight up, but they've gotten their hands active against Alabama's pick and roll offense. They've forced Alabama down into the corners, and when they've tried to penetrate, they're loose ball.
So every game this year, South Carolina has led after the first quarter, and teams just can't get off to good starts shooting against this team.
No, and again, you know, it's the pressure, it's the pace of the game. You know, they overwhelm you, and then you feel like you're fighting an uphill battle all night to get back in the game against them. Every coach that plays them says, we can't turn it over early. We can't do this. We got to block out. Don't give them second shots. And it hasn't made much difference.
Mike, the other night against Kentucky, a Kentucky defense that had given up 48 points a game. South Carolina scored more than that in the first half for Coach Don Staley.
Yeah, I mean, and they got it going. I mean, people like Brianna Beal, who aren't their leading scorers, got up in the press, got some steals, got some attack of the rim. And now, you know, that just changes the momentum of the game right off the bat.
Feels like Alabama just needs to see a ball go through the hoop as well.
Exactly. Get to the free throw line, do something to get a point on the board.
It's an Alabama team. They've lost 4 times to Hampton, USC, the other USC, Iowa State, LSU.
South Carolina changing their defense as they often do out of the timeout. Come out in a 1-3-1 half-court zone.
Almost an unforced turnover. Beal with the takeaway. It's one of those talented freshmen.
That's not her strength right there yet. That's kind of what Alabama wanted to bait South Carolina in, is make some of those people feel so wide open that they can't pass up the shot. That's not her strength yet. But what I've been impressed by Beal is that she's an elite level defender as a freshman. And so she's made up for some of her offensive shortcomings on the defensive end.
It was the first empty trip for South Carolina. Copeland just trying to get rid of the basketball. Deja Benjamin into the game. And another shot that was altered.
Well, there's a reason their team bothers people in the paint. They lead the country in block shots, over 8 a game.
It's a couple of misses from Beal. And Abrams runs down the rebound. Maybe a chance for Alabama in transition. Lewis, there was some contact, no whistle.
Yeah, that looked like a foul on that play.
And South Carolina, Mike, so good in points in the paint, but a lot of times it's in transition.
It's in transition. They get in, their guards get it in 2-on-1, 3-on-2 situations.
Herbert-Harrigan with the baskets.
Now South Carolina back in the man. And there's their active hands again.
Boy, missed shots and turnovers. Back come the Gamecocks. Beal, not stopped. She's going to take it to the rim.
I think they called a charge.
Indeed they did. Abrams there to take the charge.
Well, here's the drive. I think that's a block myself. I think the defender's still moving sideways. You got to get there. You don't have to be set, but you can't be going sideways on the play.
It was another topic of conversation today for Alabama. Got to steal a possession, take a charge, something to take Carolina out of their rhythm. Good entry pass, but boy, a Boston back to disrupt again.
It's one thing to be persistent, but it's another thing to keep being persistent and going at shot blockers who just turn around. Herling, she didn't have to jump on that one.
Like you think about this shot blocking team, it's not as if they're leaving their feet. Their length allows them to defend.
We did I mean, their length as a team is incredible.
So Deja Benjamin with the hit to give the Crimson Tide their first point.
Maybe that'll get them jump started a little bit.
See the zone from Alabama.
They're probably pressuring Beal even more right now than they want to.
Ty Harris can't get that one to go, and the rebound hauled in by Ashley Knight. What pace, what tempo does Alabama want to play with tonight?
I think they want to play fast because 20% of their points come in transition. It's just you got to get your transition somewhat against South Carolina by getting some steals, deflections.
Ashley Knight out of that basket. So what was a 10-0 game, now 10-5.
That's the shot they want South Carolina to take right now. But you got to rebound it. There's long shots, long rebounds.
Pretty good pass to Boston, but she can't gather, and it's Alabama basketball.
Well, Alabama finally getting themselves on the board. They get penetration to the paint, and that draws the defense to get the open look. And same thing, same pass, drop off for a layup.
That one was kicked. It'll stay Alabama basketball.
One of the stats we pay a lot of attention to is not just necessarily just paint points, but getting the ball to touch the paint, to draw the defense. That way it opens up the three-point shot for you by just getting penetration. Now Alabama's been able to do that on 2 possessions.
Benjamin hit the 3. A pump fake got her to drive to the basket, and she will draw the foul. Victoria Saxton, who just checked in.
Well, 3 possessions in a row, they've been able to put the ball on the floor and attack the rim, and yet not get it in a layup situation where there was a shot blocker standing there.
Alabama did not shoot well as far as free throws the other night in Baton Rouge. Just 8 of 15. Normally a team that gets to the line a lot. Wednesday, January 15th, join John Calipari at number 17 Kentucky. They travel to Columbia to take on Frank Martin's Gamecocks, 6:30 Eastern, 5:30 Central, right here on the SEC Network and the ESPN app. Saxton can't hit from the baseline.
Again, they're allowing the baseline jumper, the 16-footer, and then good blockouts.
And Benjamin with the left hand can't coax it in. A rebound for Lewis, and it was knocked away by Cooke. And it'll stay Crimson Tide basketball.
Again, penetration. Block out at one end, come down, penetrate, get in the lane, draw defenders. That's the game plan. Alabama's finally got that plan going the last few possessions.
It was a slow start, but a much better 2 or 3 minutes for the Crimson Tide. We also see Sierra Johnson into the game. Missed everything.
I think she's looking at length that might have not even been there that time.
5 straight empty possessions for South Carolina. Ends with a Cooke 3-pointer.
Now that's one of the ones that can make those threes. Zaya can make that shot.
Jordan Lewis got in the way of Beal, and then a frustration foul as well.
You and I were talking about that this morning. The turn it over, miss a shot, and the 90-foot foul. Just don't need it. Puts teams too much quicker to the bonus. Just get back and play defense.
It makes you cringe even when you're not coaching, right?
I know. It's one of those lists you have as a coach. That's one of them.
Harris with the long skip to Cooke. She just hit a 3 from that spot, and that one missed everything. Sierra Johnson has been coming off the bench, tried to find Lewis, and that ball went right back off her face. Numbers are there for South Carolina. The pull-up from Cooke, and that's a good-looking short jump shot.
That's a good play from end to end to come up with the steal, take a body contact, and make the shot a little bit off balance.
7 quick points for Zaya Cooke, the number 4 overall player in the country, coming out of high school.
Pulled up a little lame on that too when she took the hit down here, I think.
Jasmine Walker loves to shoot beyond the arc. The long ones have not been falling for either team here in this first quarter.
Well, I don't think Alabama can win this game unless they make some of those, and they're getting those shots. If they can make those and get themselves in the paint and get to the free throw line by drawing some fouls instead of block shots. But that draw and kick is there. They've gotten themselves penetration, but they got to knock down those shots. You know, Christy was telling us, we asked her, well, what do you got to do a little bit better? She says, make the threes that we've had open.
South Carolina's not been bashful with the threes. That one just about rattled home. Rebound for Grissett, and a reset for the Gamecocks.
I don't want to sound like a broken record. They got him to take the outside shot, but you got to come up with the rebound.
That was quite a shot by Destiny Henderson. Kind of throwing it up with her left hand.
Might have got away with a little hop walk there, but really good finish.
So again, it's a 10-point game here in the first quarter. Benjamin looked like she had the possibility of getting a shot up. And Davis again unable to get it. The closer Alabama gets to the basket, the more problems they've had.
Yep, they just need to make the simple play.
I think that one's going against Saxton, and that'll be her second personal.
South Carolina's been able to get themselves going. This is the Alabama one off the glass, and now going the other way.
I think these teams expected a physical game. I know Alabama was preparing for a very aggressive physical game, and whenever they get in the paint near the rim, they get a glimpse of it.
Yeah, I think, once you get to conference play, the game does get a little bit more physical. You're more well scouted. Teams know your tendencies. They know, strength right, left.
6 of the 9 for Coach Curry's Alabama team has gone to Deja Benjamin. Everything worked offensively for South Carolina the other night against Kentucky. Some of those outside shots have not been falling here early. Brissett on the drive. Another offensive rebound and the putback by Amir.
We need to see the stats at some point soon, but their offensive conversion on offensive rebounds is really good right now for South Carolina.
You get that miss, you get the ball off the rim, and then it ends up still resulting in points. Very frustrating for Alabama. Copeland tries to back her way in. The left-handed shot won't drop.
Got a great look. Perfect shot.
Inside a minute here in our first quarter. And there's a long rebound into the hands of Lewis. See if it results in points. Lewis giving up some inches. There was a bump.
Foul.
No whistle. Bodies hit the deck. It'll be Crimson Tide basketball.
Wow. That's a foul. It's a pretty good decision.
Let's watch
Here
this
it is.
again.
That's body contact. It's the same one that was called at the other end earlier. Yeah, they shouldn't have reset the shot clock here.
Right now 20 on the shot clock, 34 on the first quarter clock, and our officials getting together. Gina Cross, Don Marsh, Tim Daly.
One of the rule changes this year is on a missed shot or rebound, you get an offensive rebound or the ball's tipped. It doesn't reset to 30 on the shot clock. It goes to 20. In the WNBA, we've adopted that to 14 seconds, but it's made a big change in how you have to think about possessions after an offensive rebound.
Brittany Davis can't get it to go, and it was last touched by Jasmine Walker. So one final shot, you would think, for South Carolina. Gamecocks raced out to an early 8-0 lead, up by 10 late first. And Alabama back in that zone. Harris around the screen. And a rebound to Alabama. The long shot from Lewis won't go, but a 10-point lead for South Carolina. Gamecocks up 10 over the Crimson Tide after one. The first Saturday of SEC play has provided some outstanding highlights, maybe a few surprises. Arkansas, 5-star sharpshooter Amber Ramirez and Chelsea Dungy put up some points today, winning at Auburn. Maybe the surprise of the day, Missouri struggled so dearly in non-conference play. Take care of LSU. The Gators, they got their first win in SEC play against Vanderbilt earlier today. That was in Gainesville. Mississippi State, well, they just keep on cruising, able to win, avoiding an upset in Athens against the Georgia Bulldogs, and then Kentucky over Tennessee. That means 11 of the 14 teams in this conference already have one conference win, 2 games in. Here's some of your news and notes. 6 teams in the AP top 25. Kennedy Carter continues to put up the points. Arkansas with Mike Neighbors, they're a top 20 team, and it's been a good beginning for these SEC squads.
Yeah, I mean, you look at that non-conference record, 133-33. The balance throughout the conference. I know that there's a lot of debate about who's going to be the favorite going down the stretch, and it's a legitimate debate too.
Makes for an enjoyable race. And for South Carolina, a team that won just 23 games last year, you say just 23. But
Most coaches would like that.
You're right.
Well, we'll see if Alabama can fix this shooting woes a little bit. They've gotten open looks, but they're 2 for 14 from the floor.
14%. And that one won't go from Walker. Abrams, nice pass to Copeland. And she can't coax it in up over Boston.
That's one of the great things about a shot blocker like Boston. You don't even have to block everything. Once you get a reputation, people are kind of looking over their shoulder or looking at you, and they're conscious of it.
And Mike, for South Carolina, 13 of their 19 points in the first quarter, those freshmen again.
Yep. And most of those, 12 of those points in the paint.
Fits the scouting report, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Cooke on the pull-up. There's Boston, the putback, and she has 6 quick points.
Another offensive rebound, another paint points. And a fan down to the right of us yelling at Alabama to please rebound.
It was not without a lack of emphasis really this entire week preparing for a team so good on the glass. But it has belonged to South Carolina. Even passes have been knocked away.
Well, she tried to throw it by Amma here, who has a 6'10" wingspan.
And Cooke with another basket. She's almost in double figures, 9 points. She had 15 against Kentucky. That was a game where 6 different Gamecocks were in double figures. 4 of those were freshmen. Well, Dawn Staley in her 12th year at South Carolina, so much success. You see the 725 win seasons. Won the national championship back in 2017, and she moonlights a bit.
Yeah, she's going to be the national team coach at the Tokyo Olympics this summer. Well earned. I had the pleasure of working with Dawn as an assistant coach at the Beijing Olympics in '08, and we had a great time together.
We're going to have some fun with Dawn a little bit later on. She has her loyalty split just a bit today, and we'll explain as this game progresses. She's sitting next to Jolette Law, somebody who I've had a chance to broadcast her college games way back when. I won't tell you how long ago, under Vivian Stringer.
Jolette has been a great addition to Dawn's staff. When Nikki McCray left to go to Old Dominion as the head coach, Jolette came on board.
Jordan Lewis at the line for Alabama. Averages 13 a game, trying to get on track.
Alabama extending their defense a little bit in a trap.
Kind of a left-handed fling there.
Great box out.
See if Alabama can get some points in transition, and they will get the friendly roll for Jordan Lewis, her first field goal. South Carolina didn't stop ball. She got all the way to the rim. Boy, that was a tough pass against a 2-3 zone right into the hands of Amahir.
When you're playing a 2-3, that's the one you hope you're getting. But Alabama has had problems against a couple teams giving up passes what I would call behind the zone.
And Lewis gets another friendly bounce. She's coaxed a few of those in.
That's 2 good drives in a row by her.
All right, so Mike, against the zone, does there need to be more active hands, more moving to it that doesn't allow those passes to dissect it? Even that opportunity.
Yep, I mean, part of it is you run into a problem in this zone. They've done a great job of sagging off and making them shoot outside shots. But when you sag off that much out front, you don't bother the vision of any of the passers. You haven't pressured any pass.
Well, it's a nice finish by Sierra Johnson as she gets her first basket.
Again, 3 more possessions where they've gotten in the paint.
7-0 run by Alabama, so a little bit of a swing now to the Crimson Tide as far as momentum.
Coach Curry begging her team to see the backside of the zone. Same thing they got away with at that time. Pass was behind the zone. A little conversation on the sideline about it right now, too.
Destiny Henderson will walk Jordan Lewis across the timeline. Amber Richardson tried to challenge Boston that time.
Gets the foul. That's the one foul here that Boston has a problem with, is that she's such a good shot blocker, but that's one where she doesn't need to reach down, doesn't need to slap down. Just be big. They're not going to, a small guard is not going to shoot that over you that easily.
She had been so good as far as keeping those hands straight up, not to get that reach until that time.
Those were a couple of the fouls that she was getting early in the season when she was getting in foul trouble. She wanted to block every shot, you know, and it feels good. You're getting that many a game, but you have to have a little bit of judgment too.
You talk about a learning curve for these players, and I think these freshmen so talented, but it's nice to see someone like Boston elevate her game after maybe sitting for some foul trouble reasons. 1 of 2 for Richardson. This is back to an 8-point game. It feels like at least the score is in the favor of South Carolina as far as a lower scoring game, but Aaliyah Boston with the basket in the paint.
It's hard to extend your defense like that when you give Boston one-on-one opportunities in the paint by doing it.
Hannah Barber in the game controlling for the Crimson Tide. Abrams on the attack, and that was a nice drive. She had 21 in a game against NC State this year, so she's a capable scorer.
This is a great drive, right to left, the left-handed player getting to her strong hand. Great shot. But the thing about that play is they scored, and within 2 seconds, South Carolina was at the other end drawing a foul. And the other part of that drawing the foul is that you have a situation where everybody thinks of South Carolina as this low post, pounded in the paint team, and they have a lot of points in the paint. But they get as many of those points from their guards pushing it like that. I mean, their transition is terrific.
You don't have time to celebrate your success, and they're back at the other end causing problems.
You know, I think you get lulled. You don't think of them as a transition team, and yet they're excellent at it.
Barber nearly had that one knocked away by Henderson. Johnson on the handoff to Richardson. And there's the hoist from Abrams.
Abrams needed that one because she has been struggling from the three-point line for the last few weeks.
2 of 18 on the season until that make. Well, this is a 6-point game. There's a triple team against Boston before a whistle.
Well, as I was saying, Megan Abrams has just been struggling. I've watched her shoot in practice. She makes them in practice, but has not made them in games. She's been frustrated. Coaches said they just got to let her keep shooting because she'll make them eventually. Well, that was a big one.
That's big for the confidence, if nothing else.
Well, and they're back to, you know, a 6-point game.
And then the answer from Destiny Henderson. She's a good 3-point shooter and knocks in that triple. Where these guards have had to create for Alabama. That was taken away by Harris. Long lead ahead and a lay-in for Henderson.
There's that quick 2-second, 3-second fast break that they're so capable of.
It is a blink of an eye.
It really is. And they all know to look up. They all know to run hard, that their teammates are going to throw it to them. Active hands again.
Well, it feels like either Beal or Harris have their hands on almost everything. And another basket in transition. Herbert-Harrigan with her 3rd field goal.
You have a big player, your power forward running the lane like a guard. That makes it easy for the people handling the ball.
Well, the athleticism of South Carolina's showed itself here in the last couple of minutes. Barber with the floater. And a whistle going against Bree Beal using that elbow.
Here's how quickly South Carolina can convert if you make a mistake. Blink of an eye, Harris with a great throw-ahead pass to Henderson, and then Herbert-Harrigan running the lane, finishing. You got to get back.
The Alabama Crimson Tide have not had any problems getting to the basket.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to get there. Your drives against Alabama probably have to be to draw 2 or 3 defenders and then kick it to an open teammate. When they've done that, it's really good. But when you try to drive in and there's 3 defenders standing there with all that length, it's really difficult. They're active hands, they're long. Unless you have an angle of a one-on-one like Abrams did, that's probably the only way you're going to get the easy drive in the paint.
Let's hear from Coach Curry about staying optimistic as her team builds towards this conference schedule.
You're good! You're good! Stay with it! Stay with it! You're good! Let's go! Hey, come here a second. Keep attacking and don't worry about it, okay? It's all right. You got a rebound, baby! You got a rebound, okay? Hey, we can win this game. We got to sprint though in every single possession play. All we got, and I'll sub you out when you get tired. Let's go! Come on!
When you face a 4th-ranked team in the country, a head coach has to be more of an encourager at times to keep her team's spirits up?
No question. I think you have to make your team think every moment of the game that you believe in them. It's the time to be your most calm. I think you can get riled up when it's against the teams you know you're supposed to beat, and you need to make sure your players aren't flat. They need just constant reinforcement in a game like this.
Uriah Copeland heading to the free throw line to shoot a pair. She's trying to get on the board here this evening. This week we'll kick off the gymnastics season with 3 meets and a special Friday night Heights. It all starts at 6 Eastern, 5 Central with Missouri and Kentucky. We'll take it to Athens for LSU taking on Georgia. And to wrap up the night, it's Alabama facing Auburn. All 3 meets can also be seen live on the ESPN app. It's that time of the year, gymnastics, basketball, still got some football yet to be played.
Well, that's an interesting sub for South Carolina. So putting Olivia Thompson in the game, she is known as a 3-point shooter. 80% of her shot attempts are threes. And against the zone, I think Dawn said, you know what, let's see if they'll come out and play her.
One of the most prolific 3-point shooters in South Carolina high school basketball, provides a big hit. Lewis, boy, that one's wide right out of her hands.
Yeah, I don't think she had much balance with her footwork when she went to shoot that one. She knew she was open, but she tried to get it off quick and never got her feet right.
One of the times where Ty Harris and South Carolina can walk the ball up against the zone. They've been so effective at times in transition, which is per usual for this team. I feel like, though, maybe like this is a bit of a danger zone that Alabama doesn't want to fall any further behind going into the break.
I think it's a huge time for them. You got about 2.5 minutes. You'd like to stay, you know, if you can maybe cut it to 10 points somehow before the break. Means you got to take care of the ball right now, too.
We talk about being an encourager for Coach Curry. It's a lot easier when that score is somewhat tighter than seeing South Carolina add to it.
Exactly.
And this is a team in South Carolina. They outscore their opponents on average by almost 30 points a game. Herbert-Harrigan just inside the arc for a long 2, and she's
really improved as a shooter over the last couple of years. But I think they've made a little bit of adjustment here. Obviously putting Thompson in, moving Herbert-Harrigan into that short corner baseline spot to shoot it, as opposed to a couple other players. She's comfortable shooting that shot.
So it's a 12-1 run for South Carolina. That one would not drop from Abrams. It'll stay Alabama ball.
That's a great wide open look. That's the shot she's been practicing.
And Jordan Lewis will trigger the inbounds play. Shot clock reset to 20. Copeland controls. Lewis felt like she was open with a backdoor cut. But that ball just knocked away. Swatted away without a whistle. Me here able to poke it out of bounds. It's 8 to shoot.
Amir surprises people with her length. She's just incredibly long.
Keep in mind, she dunked at a high school game in Canada, and that's a basket for Jasmine Walker. That's her first 2. She had 16 the other night at LSU.
She's the length has bothered her. They're going to have to move her around a little bit, I think, to get her some looks.
South Carolina content to play catch around the perimeter. And there's a rebound for the guard, Abrams.
Of course, the other thing about Walker just getting her first basket is that for a lot of the time, Boston was in guarding her.
Indeed. Lewis trying to probe and create. Walker got a hands on it. Ends up back in the hands of Lewis. And Olivia Thompson had the hand check foul.
I think it's the bonus.
I think it is as well. And our officials now say it should be a trip to the line for Jordan Lewis.
On the Crimson Tide, Jordan Lewis will shoot 2.
Shooting 2 for Lewis. Saturday, January 11th, Laura Rutledge, Marcus Spears, Tim Tebow, and Marty Smith have you covered from New Orleans for the College Football Playoff Championship game. They'll have Media Day press conferences at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, plus comprehensive analysis and interviews with coaches and players. You can always watch it on the ESPN app. We'll have more on that big game coming up in the second half. And Herbert-Harrigan in double figures for the 12th time this season. That's 10 points.
She's just become a really smooth shooter off the dribble, off the catch. Well, Alabama needs to make sure that they get a good shot this possession. Don't go too early. Don't turn it over or not.
Worst case scenario, turning it over with plenty of time on the clock. So a final shot for the Gamecocks. Harris, the senior, controlling. Will hoist a 3. And that'll take us to the end of the first half, a 15-point lead for South Carolina. Well, coming up on the Auto Owners Halftime Report, Steffi Stuff of Andy's Land, scores, highlights, and analysis. Stay tuned. Should be a lot of fun. It's been a half dominated by South Carolina, 42-27 over the Alabama Crimson Tide from Colvin Coliseum. This halftime report is presented by Auto Owners Insurance. For whatever lies ahead, Auto Owners Insurance. Find your agent today at auto-owners.com. What do you need to see more out of Alabama in the early portions of this third quarter?
Well, I think the first thing is they got to take care of the basketball. You can't give back easy possessions for runouts like we just saw. Secondly, if you're going to play the zone, you have to block out and not give up second shots, which has been a problem. And you just have to get a good shot every time down the floor. Whether you make it or not, you need a good field goal attempt.
And the Gamecocks start with the basketball first here in our third quarter.
Alabama's going to stay with the zone as much as they can.
Boston able to gather. Goes through the triple team and draws the whistle.
Great job of double teaming and then coming with the third defender. Just can't bail her out with a foul. Ball goes down on the baseline. Alabama's going to trap. Good pass inside. Here comes 3 people, but then you reach out and get her on the elbow.
Second foul on Copeland. Sends Boston to the line. Pretty good free throw shooter at 77%. She really made her mark this year in a game against Baylor where she went for 20 and 13 in a game you were in attendance.
I was there, and you know, she had gotten a little bit of foul trouble early in the game and then bounced back and just got it going.
She is the second Gamecock in the double figures. That free throw gave her 10 points. Jasmine Walker is one of those scorers I think Alabama needs a lot more from in this second half.
Yep, and it's hard. I mean, she's trying to do a lot to get penetration like that. That's a great shot there. She didn't have to get all the way into the teeth of the defense.
And Jordan Lewis up to 9 points. South Carolina has seen a lot of this zone tonight from Alabama. Cooke on the pull-up. Boston, the one-handed gather, and she nearly threw it in.
That's great balance and strength right there, because they got South Carolina to take the shot they wanted. You know, Alabama baits them into the jump shot, but then they don't get a block out on Boston. I mean, that's the most important player to find when the ball goes up on a shot. Every time South Carolina shoots, somebody has to have a body on Boston.
And you see Knight check in. That's 2 quick fouls on Copeland, 3 in the game, and she has to sit early third quarter.
Well, right now, South Carolina, with this free throw here, will have shot as many free throws in this first minute as they did the whole first half.
And again, this is a team that's top 10 in the country as far as getting to the free throw line.
A little tougher when you got a zone to play
is.
against. A little different, which is part of the reason that, you know, Alabama is zoning them.
Abrams on the attack, able to get the step by Harris, and there's a whistle.
She's mad at herself for not finishing. She knew she had a good look at the square on the board. Again, going left, down the lane, one-on-one coverage. A little bit of a weak foul, but Harris not too happy with it either.
Abrams did the hard work of getting to the basket and then was unable to knock it in for Coach Curry, but she does make the free throw.
Well, we were remarking how fast the first half went. There weren't very many whistles, not a lot of free throws. Now we've had 6 free throws already shot in a minute 10 seconds. We're paying for it. Yes, we are.
And Sierra Johnson quickly into the game as well for Alabama. And here you see our free throws in this contest.
And another foul.
Silly foul on Jordan Lewis.
Thought she had a steal. Those kind of gambles aren't so bad on steal attempts, because if you steal it, you got a layup at the other end.
Just the first on Lewis. As we talked about in the open, this series has been dominated by South Carolina. They've won 15 straight. It was 2008, the last time Alabama won, and Dawn Staley wasn't even a head coach at that time with the Gamecocks. Last year it was a 3-point game in Columbia. It was a big lead early for South Carolina. They continue to add to it as Cooke now reaches double figures. 41st all-time meeting.
Again, we saw that time the yin and the yang of the zone. You got a great job of making South Carolina take the shot you want them to take, but you give up an offensive rebound.
Boy, I like the pull-up from Harris. Don't risk an offensive foul. Short jumper that she knocks in.
Her offensive game has really improved over her time in South Carolina.
Would you believe that's her first field goal tonight, her first points?
She's been so unselfish. I keep thinking that she made the pull-up earlier in the game, but I didn't see it, so.
And another rebound for Boston. Harris, why not? Shoot again.
And another
Tell you what,
offensive
Boston
board.
has been a terror on the boards, and she'll have an N1 opportunity.
Well, if I were an Alabama player, here's the offensive board. I mean, as soon as the ball goes up, somebody needs to go find Boston.
Just too easy. As she lays it in, easy path to the basket, and the putback will step aside. Carolina rolling. You can't come to Tuscaloosa and not talk football. Nick Saban of the Crimson Tide, no stranger to raising the big trophy for the national championships. Mike and Brett, and we thought we would make our picks for the big game, but I think, well, Big Al has something for us. Look at this, Mike, the game ball from the national championship.
If it disappears today, you'll know where it went.
No, it's going home in my carry-on. I could guarantee you that. We were going to make our picks, but instead, why don't we go to the experts?
My prediction for the national championship game is that the Tigers will win.
College national championship, gotta go with the SEC. LSU. I love Mike the Tiger. My fave.
That's a good pick from Coach Staley. She likes Mike the Tiger, and I don't blame Christy Curry for going for the Tigers pick. You're in Alabama. It's hard to pick Clemson. It's hard to pick LSU, isn't it?
Yeah, Especially when you've won it here that many times. I was going to say the same thing. I'm going for the Tigers too, but I do think LSU is just having one of those magical seasons right now. It just feels like an LSU win.
I think I'll pick LSU as well. Get the movie ready for Joe Burrow on winning the Heisman and maybe going back home to Ohio if Cincinnati takes him #1.
No question.
A week from Monday in New Orleans. Cooke can't hit. The previous possession, Jordan Lewis knocked in a 3, so she's all of a sudden jumped up to 12 points for Alabama. They were facing their biggest deficit before that 3-pointer, and that doesn't help. A takeaway by Harris all the way to the other end with the scoop.
I got my watch out on all of these, and they're about 2 seconds or 3 seconds to score.
You just can't let up for a couple of seconds against South Carolina.
Jumping in the air to pass with nowhere to throw it, that's a recipe for disaster right there.
And Coach Curry, she knew it, Mike. She said, hey, it's going to take the little things, right? We got to steal possessions. We can't turn it over. We can't give up easy baskets. And I know it's part of the scouting report, but it's easier said than done.
Yeah, it is easier said than done. I mean, you're playing against a team that just has so many weapons. You know, we were talking before the game a little bit about, you know, when you're trying to judge how good teams are, you know, when you look out there and I go, well, how many of that players on that team would I like, and how many would? Well, when you got a lot from the one team, you know, that's why they're the #1 recruiting class. That's why they have all Americans on their team. They're really good.
It's fun watching games and practices with you because obviously you have that eye for that NBA, the WNBA talent to see how some of these players would translate to your level.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm sure that, you know, you have coaches like Dawn Staley who are glad that these freshmen aren't leaving early for the WNBA. Not dealing with the same things the people in the men's programs have to deal with.
Well, it's a little bit different, but I have a feeling you're going to have a lot of scouting reports and trips to see South Carolina play over the next couple of years.
No question. I mean, they got 2 seniors this year. They're going to have players every year. And the good programs, once they historically become good, it just feeds on itself.
Boston with the miss. Johnson able to compete and win that rebound. Jordan Lewis.
Great pass.
Would find
Absolutely
ahead.
Great pass.
And a lay-in for Copeland, her first field goal. So Alabama giving South Carolina a taste of their own medicine. And how about the offensive foul called on Beal? She gives us a look of disbelief.
Yeah, she's been a kind of somewhat overly aggressive today in the sense that, you know, she's tried to make plays that aren't there. She's got a driving opportunity. Good job by Jordan Lewis. Get back and get in position.
Not sure about that.
Yeah, I'm buying that one, that she was backing up that time and not going sideways. I'm buying that one. Great back door.
Indeed it was. And a wide open look, and a 3-pointer rained in from Benjamin. She's hit a couple of triples in the game.
If they could stick to that formula where you get the penetration but you don't force the shot in a crowd of people and get the open look, and then you just got to knock it down.
Ever since we put Nick Saban on the screen, here come the Crimson Tide.
Yep.
Benjamin. All of a sudden, Boston jumped in the picture and maybe scared her for a second. And then there's the foul, the frustration foul on Benjamin.
90-foot foul.
We'll step aside. 14-point lead for South Carolina at Coleman Coliseum. Well, Dawn Staley's team led by as many as 20. It's down to 14. But, Coach, it's a basketball game tonight. It feels like a track meet at times. We've had that stopwatch out several times.
Well, one of the problems here is that South Carolina is going to go here in transition. But when you turn it over and you have a problem, every Alabama player is below the foul line or right at the foul line. And now the transition, they have no chance of catching up. 4 seconds later, it's a lay-in. And they've had too many of those to stay in the game that easily.
Does that become demoralizing at some times when you're giving up that many easy baskets and you're chasing?
I think it does, because, you know, one of your emphasis is we cannot give up transition baskets. We've got to hold them, you know, into a more of a walk-up game, and in those aren't walk-up games.
Aaliyah Boston back at the stripe. She's pumped in 14 points tonight. How about the 12 rebounds as well? That was kind of a quiet double-double with all of her rebounds. And she's had one triple-double this year, and with her block capability, there's always that potential.
Yeah, first game out as a freshman. I don't think it's ever been done before, but as her first game in college basketball, she had a triple-double with 10 blocks in the game.
She's got 5 tonight. It's within reason.
And half of her points have come out, or almost half her points have come at the free throw line. Yep, that's kind of a phantom foul right there.
Letitia Ame here with the personal. And another whistle. And that one would not drop. It'll send Benjamin to the free throw line. Well, this week we'll kick off the gymnastics season with 3 meets and a special Friday Night Heights. It all starts at 6 Eastern, 5 Central with Missouri and Kentucky. We'll take it to Athens for LSU taking on Georgia. And to wrap up the night, it's Alabama facing Auburn. An Iron Bowl in gymnastics. All 3 meets can be seen live on the ESPN app. Back to a 14-point game. Benjamin has given this team a lift with the 11 points and just about had that steal.
She's been active. She's given on the boards. She's gotten her hands in the passing lanes.
See, she averages right around 8 a game. She's bettered that tonight. Pretty good pass to Grissett. Can't finish, gets her own rebound. Brought that ball down, and that's where Johnson took it away.
We've had kind of a quiet game from Grissett tonight. I think that one of the biggest things for South Carolina the last month has been her improved play and how much of an effect she's had on the game. But the zone, she has not had a huge effect.
That one looks good out of the hands of Walker, and she hits the 3. She's knocked down 25 of those this year, but her first in the game.
Well, as Coach Curry was saying before the game, we need somebody, her and one of the other guards, to step up and make some threes. They've now made a few. See if they can keep the momentum going here.
Alabama is as close as they have been since the first half. Destiny Henderson tries to answer. Another offensive rebound, and Benjamin gets charged for the foul. Mike, you mentioned it before. Somebody has to step up for Alabama, and here comes Walker.
Again, penetration into the paint sets up the open look. Jordan Lewis got in the paint. Walker gets a nice, easy open look.
He's shooting a lot of free throws here in this game.
Yeah, I think we jinxed it here going into the second half. But the game has also gotten a little bit more physical, too.
Saxton with a couple of hits from the stripe for South Carolina.
South Carolina picking up their pressure a little bit here in the backcourt a little bit more.
Here comes this intensity and the physical aspect of this game.
You don't need that kind of a foul if you're South Carolina. You got to make Alabama have to earn it from the outside. Putting them at the free throw line is not a good thing right now.
Something that Christy Curry mentioned to us before the game: if the officials don't blow the whistle, we're in trouble. She needs her team to get to the stripe.
Well, and they're 21st in the country, I think, in free throw attempts for the season. So, you know, this is a big part of what they do.
1 of 2. Henderson quickly at the other end, and that's going to go as a block.
That's a pretty good call, I think. I think she had great position, and at the last second bailed out and went sideways.
Coach Curry doesn't agree. Let's take another look, Mike.
They're set, and then at the last second, slide. Yeah. Let's see.
Well, she was surrounded here with this double team.
Oh, I think her own teammate pushed her into the foul.
She gave her the hip
wedge. The hip check into her teammate knocked her into her for the foul.
Destiny Henderson becomes, I believe, the 5th South Carolina Gamecock into double figures. Indeed, that is the case. Sierra Johnson Just a careless, what looked to be a turnover, and it ends up nearly as an and one as Copeland lays it in.
They needed one of those fortunate bounce plays because that was a turnover going the other way. Ends up in a three-point play. Over penetrates, gets a tip from behind, and the ball bounces right to Copeland on the easy layup.
Felt like a hockey goal that just deflected off the goalie and trickled in. Copeland able to get the basket, but not the three-point play. I think Jasmine Walker was in the lane early, so it wouldn't have counted even had it dropped. I feel like South Carolina needs to find a little mojo again.
Yeah, I mean, since Boston's gone out, things have gone downhill a little bit. Harris has been out. Herbert-Harrigan has been out. This group that's on the floor for South Carolina has been playing great for the last several games, but they're struggling a little bit offensively right now.
Boy, that was a nifty move by Saxton
nice
to split
play.
the two-time effort.
Great cut, great pass.
Really, both of these teams so good when they go to the bench. Some of the best in the country as far as those line shifts that don't often hinder play. More contact and another whistle.
This will be a film session one for Dawn Staley tomorrow, showing her young players, hey, look, you're letting them hang around by bailing them out with unnecessary fouls. Make them, they weren't making shots over you. You know, they weren't getting inside and making shots, so don't bail them out and put them on the free throw line. Whereas the converse is Alabama says, hey, keep going, go in the paint, attack.
They've had some misses, though. It's been nail-biting time as well for Coach Staley. Not pleased with this sequence. As you mentioned, Mike, they've had a few of their starters on the bench, but there hasn't been a drop-off often when they've gone to the bench. 2 misses, though, hurts from Lewis.
That hurts. She quickly got Boston back in the game, too.
Reset, holding. A time Boston could not catch. Talk a lot about South Carolina. Sometimes it's ball movement to set up shots.
Yeah, the ball gets swung here. Beal swings it on top. They swing it. Everybody touches the ball. Got a nice cut inside, drop step layup. Everybody touches it.
Look at English spinning that ball off the window.
Yes, it was.
Sierra Johnson, looks like she had the step, and then Destiny Henderson with another foul, sending Alabama back to the free throw line.
It's hard to even get a feel whether the game's being called more tightly or is just being that much more physical. Doesn't feel like an overly physical game, but there's a lot of touch fouls going on right now.
Reaching
Hands,
too,
yep.
yeah.
It's not like huge collisions by anybody.
Sierra Johnson with her 3rd point. This is a preseason all-second team in the SEC. She's been coming off the bench, has not been shooting the basketball well, but you know, if she has a nice surge in conference play, it'll do nothing but lift this Alabama team and their offense.
It sounded in talking to Coach Curry that she felt like Sierra was kind of starting to turn the corner a little bit. Practices were better. The last week or two, there's an uptick with her.
It's probably no surprise to the coach sitting next to me. When you practice better, you play better.
It's amazing how that works.
It's a tough shot by Cooke. Rebound to Walker. Really an opportunity now for Alabama. Abrams all the way to the basket. Knight with the follow and a whistle on Boston.
Boston thinks she went straight up, but she walked through her even though her hands straight up. Penetration bothers the first shot, offensive rebound, and then she walks into her. Hands aren't quite vertical on that one. She just walks through her. Now you got to convert the free throws.
The senior, Ashley Knight, out of Austin, Texas. We've had 26 free throws this quarter alone.
And we're in a 10-point game.
One time this was 20, early 3rd quarter. So the Tide, they've cut this in half. Boston trying to feed Saxton. And it went out of bounds.
A little bit optimistic on that play because even if she'd caught it, she was going to be coming down behind the plane of the backboard. Alabama has a great opportunity right now in this last minute and a half to get the momentum completely on their side.
Walker hit a big three. This time she'll enter one tonight. And Boston again disrupted. See if the Gamecocks can turn it into points. Boston running the floor, rewarded and lays it in.
Makes a good defensive play at one end, keeps running, gets rewarded at the other end.
17 for Boston. Inside a minute here in quarter number 3 from Coleman Coliseum. The 11 teams already in this conference have won at least one conference game. Alabama would like to be another. That was a tough move, and Walker able to finish.
Walker's kind of come alive for them. She's given them a boost this period.
Cooke. Boy, she just ran right into Ashley Knight, and a foul that has the faithful here a little bit upset.
I might be with the faithful on that one. We'll see. So baseline drive into size.
It almost looked like Cooke got bailed out because she had no place to go here.
The only thing
a reach?
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is they had momentum of Knight's body going toward the shooter, walking into her. But she was pretty straight up and down.
So Cooke with the miss. One of the many McDonald's All-Americans on this team. I started to write that down on my sheet, and I thought maybe I should just write who's not a McDonald's All-American.
Exactly.
12 for Cooke. So the Crimson Tide can hold for a final shot and a chance to make this a game in single digits.
They need to do a better job that they did at the end of the first half with holding the ball and not turning it over. Get a good look right here.
Lewis picked up that dribble. Copeland's got to get rid of the ball. Good defense again by Boston. Abrams has to hoist. And that's not the way the Crimson Tide wanted to win what was a pretty good quarter.
It was a great quarter for them. Momentum came back to their side. They're in the ball game. They've done a lot of things better.
We'll step aside. Don't go anywhere. Fourth quarter coming up. 11-point Gamecock lead on the road. Well, last week we lost David Stern, maybe the most impactful commissioner of any major league sport. 30 years at the helm of the NBA, but Mike, also somebody who paved the road to enhance the women's game.
Yes, David basically, along with Val Ackerman, created the WNBA. Back in 1996, the Atlanta Olympics, the U.S. women's national team toured for an entire year with, I don't know, say 60 games or so as a lead up to the WNBA. And, you know, he brought the women's pro game to where it is today. He had faith in it. He convinced NBA owners that it was a worthwhile endeavor. And, you know, all the early prognosticators were saying, oh, you know, women's league's not going to survive. He made sure it did. He very strong-willed, very creative person. Not just with the WNBA, we have the G League now. It's a developmental league, international play. The NBA was the first league to go play regular season games in other countries. You know, the growth of the game worldwide, a lot of it can be attributed to him and his foresight and vision.
Saw Dawn Staley, of course, a 5-time WNBA All-Star in her professional career. Her Gamecocks up 11. South Carolina shot nearly 60% in the third quarter. How about that beginning from Walker?
Great start to the quarter. Fans are back into it.
First time we've been in single digits for a lead since the 5-minute mark in our second quarter. See if the Gamecocks can find some answers offensively. Harris has been quiet tonight, but she hits the three, and there's the senior stepping up.
Yep, you know, Boston's out of the game for the moment, so, you know, Ty Harris in big moments has kind of taken over games for them. Dawn said that's been a huge part of her growth, is being willing to make big plays late in games.
Think about Harris, a senior winning a national championship, trying to lead her team back to a Final Four to cap her career?
Well, you couldn't script it any better to start a period than out for Alabama than starting with a 3. But Ty Harris, the senior leader for South Carolina, answers right back at the other end.
She had a lot of time to think about it and pulled the trigger. Pass was poked away and out of bounds, intended for Copeland. 10 to shoot. This is an Alabama team that has so many players that are capable of scoring 7, 8 points. We're curious to see if one will step up for a huge game in this fourth quarter.
I think Christy Curry's been waiting for somebody to do a game like that. Ooh, that looked like a foul too.
Lewis would have been a candidate. She wants a foul, so does Coach Curry. And looks like it's going to be Gamecock basketball. Take another look at this one.
Good drive into the lane. Couldn't tell from our angle whether she got arm or ball. Pretty good job of getting the ball right on top.
Play proves correct.
This is a crucial couple minutes here for Alabama.
Cooke determined to get to the rim, and she'll go to the line.
I think one of the biggest keys to this quarter could be which team gets to the bonus first. It wasn't a big issue in the first half, but it had a huge impact on the third quarter.
Fourth foul on Copeland. Cooke to the line. What are the biggest areas in Cooke's game that you want to see her improve upon as this season progresses?
Well, I think for her, you know, consistency is the biggest thing with a player like her. You know, be the same shooter from night to night. Be a little bit better decision maker with the basketball. Take some pressure off of Harris. You know, in that starting lineup, some ball handling duties.
Walker used the pump fake. Probing, trying to get a shot off. Couldn't get it in. Saxton the rebound. And here come the Gamecocks in a blink of an eye. How about that bullet pass? But it doesn't result in a shot.
And that was a great pass by Cooke. I mean, she made the right play.
Harris in those passing lanes, able to knock it out of bounds.
So interesting lineup that Dawn Staley has in the court right now. She's got her 3 quickest guards on the court with 2 of her, you know, better athletic defensive post players in the game. Saxton's a good defender. Herbert-Harrigan has improved, but they have some length, but they have more ball pressure from their guards.
Jordan Lewis hits the big 3-pointer.
Back to a 10-point game.
South Carolina's not been able to pull away. Alabama continues to have answers, and that's a hit from Zaya Cooke. 17 for the freshman guard.
Well, twice now in this period, Alabama's hit big threes, and South Carolina's come right back down to the other end and matched them.
Lewis had that one poked away. Let's listen into the previous huddle, the encouragement that came from Christy Curry.
That's a player saying, I'm going to be a player and I'm going to do my job in every single possession, execution-wise. Execute the defense, execute the transition plan, execute the offensive transition plan, and execute offensively. Share the ball, reverse the ball. You've got to have a lot of energy and change of pace. Do the little things. It's little thing time right now, okay? You're good.
Yeah, do the little things. That's something she was preaching all day long. Hit some threes as well, and Walker's done that. 13 points and 3 threes from Jasmine Walker before the timeout.
And Christy Curry calls a timeout. You know, you have momentum going. Be interesting to see what she has coming out of the break.
Here's the big hit
Knocked
again
down.
from Jasmine Walker.
Walker again with the 3.
Back to a 10-point game. The Gamecocks over Alabama with Jasmine Walker. She has been huge at times in this second half. stepping out, knocking down another triple, her third of the game, and then a quick timeout as well. So we're back courtside, Brett Dole and Mike Tebow. So it was interesting, a lot of momentum for Alabama before Coach Curry called a timeout.
Yeah, and I struggle with that. I don't know what, I would have a hard time as a college coach. I like the pro rule, which I'd like to see college adopt, is that you can't call a timeout after you score. I think it should go, in the hands. The game should have some flow. I think sometimes coaches, they want to make an adjustment. They've seen something they want to change, but you also take a risk of changing the momentum that you've just gathered. So it'll be interesting to see coming out which happens here.
Ty Harris, the senior, she's hit a couple of big-time threes in this quarter.
Yeah, I mean, you had all the momentum. You've given South Carolina a little bit of a chance to regroup at that timeout. Make them have to call their own, I think.
Senior Harris, you see her numbers, all 10 of those points, by the way, coming in this second half. Jordan Lewis, a little bit short and wide left.
I like the fact that she's been aggressive, though. She wants some of the burden on her shoulders right now.
Cooke, she started to be active offensively, but that one would not stay down.
That was a tough closeout on the corner. I don't think Christy Curry wanted them to close out that hard. They wanted to encourage the long shot.
Copeland with the hook and the roll. She just had 2 points the other night at LSU, 7 this evening.
Well, when she's gotten one-on-one coverage without Boston in there, she's been able to make a play. Her struggle has been when she's been defended by Aaliyah Boston one-on-one.
No doubt. So yet another opportunity, Mike, to make this a 9, maybe an 8-point game.
They're right there.
That's been the hurdle, it feels like, in this second half. At 1.20, down to 10, and a takeaway by Herbert-Harrigan.
Well, Copeland needed to come meet the pass on that one. She waited for it to come to her, and it was too late.
Walker got her money's worth on that foul against Ty Harris. Almost halfway through this fourth quarter. Ty Harris back to the line. Three-time captain. It's Ty Harris. Shooting 2. Put in double figures 11 times now this season. Well, Wednesday, January 15th, John Calipari and number 17, Kentucky, travel to Columbia to take on Frank Martin's Gamecocks, 6:30 Eastern, 5:30 Central, right here on the SEC Network and the ESPN app. Fun time of the year, isn't it?
It is. Got everything going at once. We're into conference play. You got football playoffs, NFL playoffs going. NBA's in the heart of its season right now. All-Star games coming. Lots going on.
Boy, it's a great time of the year. 13-point game. NFL playoff action that has a little bit of a hook that we'll explain coming up. Abrams, nifty scoop, but she left it short, got her own rebound. Walker determined to get that shot up. Rebound Johnson, and they won't fall for Alabama. And Harris runs it down and saves to Saxton. And another foul. I think this one's going on Knight.
It's kind of fun to watch the growth of a player over their 4 years in college. When Herbert-Harrigan came to South Carolina, I would classify her, I mean, she was playing with some pretty great players, so she wasn't the focal point of an offense with Asia Wilson and stuff. But how much more aggressive she's become because she knows her team needs it. She's a senior leader, but she has become an aggressive offensive player, something you wondered about, a year or two ago.
And Coach, she must have heard you. She was ready to try and get that and one as you were talking her up.
I mean, it's amazing, that somebody who, and a lot of times you just look around and you say, okay, now my team needs this, and that's a growth thing too. But she's just gotten so much better as a player.
It's her first point of the second half after 10 in the first. Herbert-Harrigan. Time running short now for Alabama. Just when they have a chance to make it 9 or 8, it balloons back to 15. Jordan Lewis hasn't been able to get many uncontested shots away in the last few minutes.
Foul against the Gamecocks. Number 3, Destiny Henderson. Second personal foul, team foul number 1.
Boy, you know, it's one of these things. Alabama's looking up at the scoreboard, and as you said, you know, they were right there, a chance to make it 8 or 9, and it went to 15 so quickly, and yet you look at the clock running too, and it's just tougher. They need a stop right now. They need to get a couple stops in a row.
Defensive breakdown as Johnson got the hit. South Carolina couldn't catch cleanly. Alabama basketball. Coach says, yeah, enough.
It's a great drive. Gets by the defense. Great use of the glass.
Well, Walker's had the hot hand. That was strong. I mean, she let that thing go with some authority, and it ends up out of bounds.
South Carolina assistant coach is not happy with that possession. They're glad that Alabama missed on the shot because they were yelling to fight over on the screen and not give up the open 3. And the look of frustration as a coach, I recognize that one.
That one's ingrained in you coaches.
Yes.
Turnover into the hands of Walker. See if Alabama can return the favor. Running the floor and scoring is Johnson.
That's
a technical foul?
That's a really athletic play.
Looked like maybe Johnson got a technical foul. I'm not sure if she said something.
But the officials pointed over toward Coach Curry, and I don't know that she said anything. I don't know. I don't remember Coach Curry ever having a technical somewhere in her career. I don't remember any. I'm sure she has, but
well, you know she doesn't want to get a tee with 3:07 to play in the game after her team had the layup.
Somebody near their bench, I think, yelled "and one" on the layup. But even if they yelled that would not be something worthy of a technical.
Coach Curry had her high school coach watching her game at LSU the other day, and that was Mom, by the way, Ann Sims, a longtime high school coach. She's not here tonight, but that's one that
she'll be getting a phone call from Mom going, "What happened?"
It's possible.
I still don't know what happened.
Bama had not allowed 80 points all season, Coach, in a game, and that changed with South Carolina now at 81.
Wow, that was just such a strange happening of events.
It felt like at times maybe South Carolina wasn't going to get quite to their average. They're just basically at that point now.
They're right there.
And a big hit from Destiny Henderson.
We haven't had a chance to talk about her too much, but we were talking to Dawn this morning about her and Grissett and Saxton having to kind of change their roles this year and how well they've done with it. And Henderson figuring out that, you know, she could be more offensively minded with the second group and kind of be the leader of that group, and their bench scoring has gone up as she has blossomed in that role.
And if you're Destiny Henderson, you hear all the conversation about the fantastic freshman, best recruiting class ever.
Yep.
You talk about the seniors like Harris and Herbert-Harrigan, and you have the tendency to say, well, don't forget about me.
Yep, exactly. And she's done a good job of handling it.
Been a big scoring game from Cooke, although she gets just 1 of 2. 18 points in the game. Lewis got to take that shot. And we'll go the other end and shoot some more free throws with 2:21 to play. Coach Staley, you know, she talks about handling these young players, and she says at times, you know, I don't want it comfortable. I want to take people out of their comfort zone just a bit. And
she challenges them constantly. Well, we got a timeout here by Alabama. I think this is one of those, okay, we got 2.5 minutes to play. we might not win this, but let's finish the right way. Let's make the right plays. Let's make the right decisions. I think we might see her press a little bit right here to see what happens. When you're down 17 with 2:21, you just want to finish the right way as a coach.
Well, you wonder if she's mad about some of the things that have happened in this game or another game because, well, Coach Staley, she's a big Philadelphia Eagles fan, and let's have her explain her difficulty today.
I'd like to know who schedules an SEC game on Eagles playoff Sunday. Who does that? Fire them now, but I'll be tuned in as much as I can.
Now, the Eagles lost 17-9. In true Philly fashion, I'm not sure if she could boo them at the same time she was cheering on her team, but I asked her for a prediction, Coach, and she gave me the stare that took me out of my comfort zone.
Yeah, you got the Dawn Staley stare. Every one of her players has seen it many times. Officials have seen it. Assistant coaches have seen it. She's got that fiery competitiveness comes out of her all the time. Now, a lot of people probably seen all the video when the Eagles won a couple years ago and how excited she was, too. She was screaming up and down in her hotel room that day.
Well, somebody's getting fired if she has her druthers, but I knew she was going to pick the Eagles. I just wanted a score, but she didn't want any part of that.
Yeah, she is diehard.
Those Philadelphia sports fans, though, they are a little bit different breed in their intensity, and I love it.
She's going to be a little sad walking back to the locker room and finding out the final score today.
So again, South Carolina on the verge of 90 points. Abrams trying to get to the rim. She'll go to the line for an and one opportunity.
Well, Abrams has had some really nice drives. Being left-handed, I think players on defense forget that, and they tend to let her go to her strong hand. Twice she's been bailed out with fouls.
Abrams with her 10th point, straight A student in finance. Chipping in 10 points this evening. You would see where, Mike, the challenge will continue to be, and we talk about Dawn Staley managing the minutes, getting the most out of her team. There's going to be nights where they might have 10 players all score 9 points.
Exactly, and she'll be happy with that, I think. You know, it's funny. Alabama can take some things from this game, too, even with a loss. They've gotten a couple people going that they needed to get going. You know, Abrams and Johnson have kind of got a little bit more to their game in this one. Walker has been a little bit better. So, you know, they're not going to get a win, but they've gotten a couple people they need for the conference season going a little bit energy-wise on the offensive end.
There's Destiny Henderson. She has 17 after Cooke had her 20.
Now, what I was talking about at that timeout with Christy Curry wanting her team to finish the right way, they just had two, you know, kind of tough turnovers or bad shots in the lane.
Well, you know, look at the 75 points. It's the most by far South Carolina has given up this year. Some coaching points for Coach Staley going forward.
Exactly. You know, coaches love it when you have a win, but you have enough film in the game to keep everybody honest a little bit. We call it teaching film.
It's nice just to get through that first week in conference activity. Kind of get that non-conference taste out of your mouth. You gather the intensity it's going to take to compete at this level.
The hardest part right now is that, you know, for like a team like Alabama without a win, you start to feel the pressure. You know, you're 0-2. You want to get that first win as quickly as you can in conference so your players relax a little bit.
There's a putback by Saxton. Sometimes you get that schedule. You look and see, am I playing Mississippi State and South Carolina once or twice?
Yes, exactly. And where?
Final few seconds here at Coleman Coliseum. South Carolina team just one loss all year.
Well, South Carolina has done what they're supposed to do. Held serve. The ranking that they have is well earned. That's a good win on the road. Any road win is good. South Carolina was impressive today.
Indeed they were. And the 4th ranked Gamecocks improved to 2-0 in league play, 14-1 overall. And they win it by 15 over Alabama. We'll step aside and come back to Coleman Coliseum in Tuscaloosa right after this. Again, South Carolina with the win on the road. South Carolina now 2-0 in league play as they defeat Alabama on the road 93-78 here at the Coleman Coliseum. We're back courtside, joined by the coach of South Carolina, Dawn Staley, after her team was able to put forth this win today, again improving to 2-0 in league action. It was a game in which South Carolina led by 20 early in the second half, had the lead cut down to 10. Now we're able to emerge victorious with this 15-point win. So again, the Gamecocks able to get the victory today, taking care of Alabama. We're joined courtside by head coach Dawn Staley. I had to tell her the Eagles score too, and I did not want to do that. Coach, your team a couple of times they got down to about a 9 or a 10-point lead, and every time Alabama got close, your team had answers.
Well, I mean, Alabama's a good team. I mean, they're much improved. We've always had trouble with them. You know, they just never go away. But I thought we just, you know, we utilized our experience, we utilized our talent, and I thought we just made plays down the stretch that gave us some comfort over there.
You know, when you're in a situation like this, and we were just talking about it near the end of the game, what you take away from a game. I made the comment that, you know, coach is kind of like a win, but you have some film that you can go use as teachable the next couple days, so you can, your players don't get so comfortable that, you know, things they think they won easier than they did.
Yeah, I mean, this is a good one for us. I think, you know, we just got rattled a little bit. We couldn't apply the type of pressure that we're used to applying, just because the amount of fouls that were being called. So we had to make adjustments, and that was due to what Alabama was doing to us. So we got to figure out ways in which we can stay aggressive and play our type of defense rather than just making so many adjustments to where we just couldn't pressure. We played 5 feet off of people, and if you do that to Lewis and you do that to Walker, they'll make you pay for it, and they did that.
Very balanced scoring again, but what did you think of the performance from Zia Cooke?
I thought Zia had it going on. I didn't take her out of the game in the second half because I just thought we needed her energy to be on the floor at all times. Her defensive presence, her offense. I thought she was actually the energizer bunny that we needed in this particular game.
Yeah, we were talking about that a little bit. The other thing that's interesting, now that you are, you know, a couple games in, you're going to see different ways that people play you. You know, some teams will try to double team the post out of man. Now you saw a team tonight that kind of tried to entice your team into long jump shots early in the game. A couple of your players bit, you know, took the bait early, and I thought that, you know, that's a learning thing for your team, because you're going to see over the course of the next month and a half probably 4 or 5 different kind of defenses designed to stop different things.
And we are, and this is what I told our team, and this is what I told our team right at halftime. I just said that you can take and miss the right shot.
Yes.
It's when you take and miss the wrong shot, it has you know, ramifications of defensive, transitional defensive balance. So for us, I think we got to figure out what's good and what's a bad shot that gives us an opportunity to get back and defend open, uncontested shots.
I mean, that's that old thing. There's a reason you're open sometimes, and players understanding that. You know,
and that's why we went to a small, you know, the small lineup.
We talked about that.
They, you know, they're able to score a little bit better than you know, Bree and Lily tonight.
Yep.
So we got to get them going.
Coach, it never gets any easier in this conference schedule, but now you start to look ahead. And after just 1 week, you're in the meat of things. You have Arkansas coming up, and before you get Vandy, Missouri, and then Mississippi State.
I mean, this league, you know, I know they talk a lot about the Pac-12. I know they do, and they got a good league going on themselves. But what we do here in the SEC and how we beat up on each other, it's incredible. But I look forward to it. This is exactly what I asked for when I switched from Temple to come to South Carolina.
Coach, congratulations on the win.
Thank you so much.
That's Dawn Staley, again, the head coach of South Carolina. Her team able to pick up the win on the road today here in Alabama, taking care of the Crimson Tide. And take a look at these final numbers, 93-78. See the points off turnovers as well, 38 points in the paint as well for the Gamecocks. So our final again, 93-78, South Carolina.